Hello, and welcome to the Transformational Healers Summit for Helping Professionals. I'm Ariana Gray, and we're here talking to the experts to break through burnout, give your gifts, and love your life. Talking with us today is Brooke Goldner, MD. Dr. Goldner is the best-selling author of Goodbye Lupus and the founder of veganmedicaldoctor.com, skypepsychiatrist.com, and goodbyelupus.com. She's appeared on TV, news, and media outlets and has been featured on the cover of Vegan Health and Fitness magazine twice. She's also featured in the movie Eating You Alive that's in theaters right now. She's the former medical director of the Transition Age Youth Academy and the Wellness Center for Mental Health America. Dr. Goldner is a world-renowned depression, anxiety, and trauma specialist. She's an internationally recognized expert on healing with plant-based nutrition and board certified in psychiatry and neurology. And also, I think this may be my favorite part, she teaches how to heal chronic disease with supermarket foods. I really wanted Dr. Goldner to talk with us because of her fantastic perspective on food, mood, and trauma, things that is helping professionals we all deal with in our work and our personal lives. Dr. Goldner, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I am so excited to have you here. And I know that you have prepared a really great opportunity for our listeners, but we'll talk about that at the end. Right now, I just kind of want to jump right in and ask, so as a helping professional yourself, you both teach about health and nutrition, but you also engage in them in your own life. How did you become so interested in all of this?
So how did I get so interested in health and nutrition?
Yeah.
Well, that actually goes back to my own personal crises in health. So I was diagnosed with a disease called lupus when I was 16 years old, and I was given 6 months to live at the time because I had such severe kidney disease. Mm-hmm. And while 2 years of chemotherapy was able to get my kidneys under control and into remission, I lived a life of chronic illness and being on medication. By the time I was in medical school, I had a TIA or a mini stroke because I was sending blood clots into my head. And so, as far as I understood, that really was the path of having autoimmune disease. And there was nothing that could be done for me besides medications. And I'd also come to accept that, I wasn't going to have as long a life as other people, but that always kept me very focused on having the most meaningful life I possibly could, which is why I pursued medical school against my doctor's advice, who told me not to do anything that would be stressful. So what happened to me was such an amazing miracle that it changed the entire course of my career. And what happened was I met my husband, Thomas Tadlock, and he was an amazing, incredible person who was willing to marry a sick woman. I mean, he married me, or when he proposed to me, I had to tell him that, I'm not going to live a long life. I can't have your children. And you're probably going to end up taking care of me before I die at a young age. And he told me that he'd rather have a short life with me than a lifetime with anybody else. And he was all in. And
wow.
So that itself changed my life. But what happened from there was he's a celebrity trainer. And at the time he was working with a talent agency for MTV, where they would bring him into New York to train people who had been partying too much in the city and had, bloated bellies and stuff. And he would give them a 6-pack in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. And I'd never planned for a white dress. I'd only ever planned for a white coat, white coats hide everything. You could, So when we decided we were going to get married in Maui, just surrounded by our closest friends and our closest family, I wanted to look like one of those MTV stars. And I asked my husband if he would put me on one of his programs. And that gets people fit really fast, because it also, what he does is he's a scientist that understands how to use nutrition to increase people's metabolism. And if you've got a really fast metabolism, just a little bit of exercise goes a long way. And that's part of why he's gotten so famous and such amazing results in what he does. But he had to change his program for me because it included animal products. At the time, he thought that you needed meat to create muscles. But I'd been an animal lover since I was a kid. And so I was a vegetarian, well, really a cheeseitarian most of my life. And so he had to change the program. I wasn't going to eat animals, but he had to get me off dairy because it's the most fattening food there is. It's actually worse for you than donuts. Not that I recommend donuts, but it's really that bad. And so we accidentally created this 100% plant-based diet that focused on super nourishing foods, really high in raw foods, especially greens and cruciferous vegetables, high in water, high in omega-3s. And what happened was, even though I was an intern at the hospital at the time, so, working 30-hour shifts every couple days, really high stress, first time ever being a doctor and actually being responsible for people's lives, I actually, for the first time since I'd been diagnosed, felt pain-free, full of energy. I could finish a 30-hour shift and go to the gym, felt amazing. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to keep eating this way because I feel good. Well, within 3.5 months, I went from a size 11 to a size 3, totally ripped, looked amazing at my wedding. But when I went to get my blood tests done, they all tested negative for lupus, which, I had just graduated medical school. That was impossible. And yet it was true. And so that really, the only thing I had changed was my diet. And we didn't know if it was a remission. We didn't know what was going on. But I just kept eating that way. And within a year, I had stayed on my meds, even though my blood tests were negative, because someone who's had, a stroke and kidney failure, you don't just stop meds. But after a year, I finally convinced my doctor that I should get off meds. And he told me I was only treating his anxiety by taking meds because he was scared. And so I went off meds, and then 4 years later, I did the impossible. I had my first son, which I was told that it would kill me if I ever tried to have a kid. Between the blood clots and the organ failure, people with lupus often get extremely ill or die from pregnancy or childbirth. And they said that'll end your remission and you'll be sick again. But I had a healthy pregnancy. I had a healthy son. And within 9 days of having my son, my body looked like I never had a baby. All like the 40 pounds I gained, all gone. I was back in the same pre-pregnancy genes like it never happened. And that's when my husband and I realized, wait a minute, because he'd spent his career working with moms who still hadn't lost their baby weight and their kid is like a teenager, right? So he goes, wait a minute, this is weird. You've just been sitting in your pajamas nursing on the couch. And so we realized that something had changed in my body where not only was I no longer sick, but I had a body that was reacting in real time to whatever challenges were in front of me. If I was pregnant, I was a healthy pregnant woman. I gave birth. I made enough milk to feed an entire village for my kids. I actually supported other kids by donating extra milk, and I looked like I never even had a baby anymore within a week and a half of giving birth. And so at that point, we realized something drastic had changed within my body. And so my husband and I are both scientists, and we went back and studied the only thing that I had done, which was change my diet. And what we realized was we had accidentally created the most anti-inflammatory diet possible on a cellular level. And so what we did over the years was refine that. And so that really, learning that, as an intern and having that happen to me through my residency, it totally changed the course of my career. And so while I was medical director at the nonprofit and doing mental health for 5 years, I also kept feeling pulled that I had a greater purpose, that I had to teach people that they didn't need to live a life of autoimmune disease, that there was an answer out there that they could find in the supermarket. And so 4 years ago, I retired from the medical director job to write my book and to dedicate my life to helping people heal. And that's what I've done since then. My book went bestseller in the pre-order stage. I hadn't even announced it yet. I just put it on Amazon as a pre-order just to give myself a timeline where I was supposed to finish it by. And it went bestseller without me even telling anyone I wrote it. And that really, for me, was the evidence from the universe that, this is what I need to do. And so that's really, my life's really taken off since then, where, I've been able to refine that protocol and use it on people from all over the world and reverse things from lupus, Sjogren's, scleroderma, MS. I'm working with someone with cancer right now whose tumors are shrinking. I mean, it is the most incredible thing. And it turned me from what I thought I was going to be, which was a doctor, into a healer.
Well, you're clearly on fire with this incredible path. And part of what I'm getting in your story too is that you went from a place of being so sick and so ill to that really transforming and opening the gateway to your own gifts and your real passion, your real purpose in life as a healer. And then just also in a life that you clearly love. I know you have your son and your husband and your life where you're making such an enormous impact. Now, one of the things that I know that you teach people is how to make change in their life. You clearly made this enormous and impactful change. So would you be able to talk a little bit about what are those steps that you teach about changing your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to give extra based on what you just said, I truly believe, and I teach people, that when we overcome the greatest pain that we are enduring, that can become our greatest gift to the world. And I live that very much in my life, that overcoming my illness gave me the ability and the credibility to be able to give the gift that not only healed me, but to give that to the world. So whatever people are struggling with, I think that when you put as much energy as you can into working through those problems, you come out the other side with such an amazing gift that can help other people. So yeah, when you're changing your life, there's certain steps. So when I see people for any kind of illness or even if they're just looking to change their careers, there's certain tips that I give every single person. And so I call them the 5 steps that you need to take in order to ensure that you're going to succeed. So step 1 is add what you're missing. And when I talk about in terms of nutrition, I'm talking to people about vegetables. Most people, the most commonly eaten vegetable in our country is ketchup. And that's followed by potatoes, French fries. So the most healing foods on the planet are greens, cruciferous vegetables, and eat them in their raw form. So for people who are saying, I could never go vegan, I can't change my diet the way you did, say, fine, if you're going to eat McDonald's, at least have a green smoothie before you leave the house. Give your cells what they're missing, what they're starving for, and you'll start to feel better, even if you don't give up all the foods that you need to yet. And if it's not nutrition, then add what you're missing in terms of your education. Get coaches, get guidance, fill in the gaps for what you need to do and what you need to learn. The second step is to start now. People make transformation too big of a deal. They say, I'm going to change my diet on New Year's, or I'm going to change it when I finish everything in my fridge that I already bought that's bad for me, or I'm going to stop smoking when I finish this pack of cigarettes, right? We make these kind of announcements that it's going to happen on a special day. And that really just puts it off. And it makes it too big. It makes it intimidating. And so what I tell people is start right this moment, this second. What can I do right now to make my life better today than it was yesterday? It could literally be when you order your burger at McDonald's, get the side salad. It's $1, right? Or it could be that, tonight instead of Netflix, you're going to pick up that self-help book that you always thought you wanted to read or something like that. But you can do little things every single day to make your life into what you want it to be. And they've shown that even small pivots in direction can lead to huge changes when you look on a graph. So what I really recommend is that you start right now. And the third thing, this is a really important one that I see in people who are super uber successful, is that you celebrate every win. So many people are really, really good at seeing what they do wrong. Like a lot of folks will lay in bed at night just counting everything that they messed up, everything I shouldn't have said. Oh my God, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Why did I eat that cookie, right? And so you go to bed feeling anxious and depressed if you do that. Well, the most important thing we can do in a habit of successful people is to celebrate everything you did right. And, the reason why we continue to do something is because it feels good, right? It's why my son had a kindergarten graduation. It was to make him feel great about going back to more school, right? It wasn't over. It was a celebration of what he'd done so that he could feel good about continuing to do it. And so one of the things I suggest to people who aren't good at celebrating is something like a success journal, where every night before you go to sleep, you write down 5 things you did right, instead of focusing on the things you could have done better. You're probably already good at that. You don't need to focus on that, but go to sleep feeling like you won. Go to sleep feeling like, baseball practice alert. Go to sleep feeling like you actually did something right, and let yourself feel good about it, because that's going to give you more motivation to be successful the next day, instead of how low energy you feel when you go to bed feeling like you are a failure. Mm-hmm. And the next one I actually think is the biggest one. Number 4 is to focus on your why. And when I say why, I mean your reason. Why do you need to do this in your life? Whether it's eating healthy or changing careers or doing something else that scares you. Why is it that you have to do it? So for example, when I'm looking at people in nutrition, if they're not focused on the big reason they need to change their life, like living a pain-free life where I can run around with my grandkids, right? If instead they're just trying to go through step by step through the motions, that's willpower, and willpower fails, right? Willpower is what I did with every diet that I tried in my 20s, where I would say, I'm not going to eat that until I eat it again, right? That's willpower. If you're trying to drink green smoothies for breakfast and everyone else is eating cheese bagels with eggs on them, and every day you walk in and it's just willpower, eventually you're going to eat the wrong thing. But if before your feet hit the ground, when you wake up in the morning, if you lay there in your bed and you picture why you need to make this change for your life, what it's going to feel like to live pain-free, what it's going to look like when you have that career that you want. You know, what it actually, the sights and smells and sounds and emotional feelings that you're going to have when you succeed. If you let yourself go there and you sit there with that feeling until the tears run down your face in gratitude for what you have, then you get out of bed, and I promise you will never go for the wrong food. You're always going to have that smoothie, or you're always going to get up and be motivated to go hit the books or do whatever it is you need to do for your life. So, you know, the biggest thing you can do is constantly keep in mind that big, huge reason that your heart says you have to go after what it is that you want for your life. And the last thing that I think is essential for people who are looking to change their lives is to find a supportive community. You know, there's so many people out there who are struggling, and, you know, whether it's changing your diet or changing your career or just doing something that no one else in your town has ever done before, there's always going to be people around you who are going to be naysayers, who aren't going to understand it, who are going to try to tempt you. Oh, don't study, let's go out instead. Or, oh, just eat one cookie, how's it going to hurt you, right? The people just don't support you. You need to be surrounded by people who are trying to do what you're trying to do. And that's why my husband and I created our Smoothie Shred community. Is we know there's so many people out there where, you know, there's so much pressure to eat the wrong foods in our society, whether it's social or whether it's that your church goes out to a diner every Sunday after services, or whether your family has certain traditions, or whether the temptations of driving around and seeing fast food places. There's so much temptation and pressure to eat the wrong things that people really need a supportive community. And so we created a free online community to support people. And man, I mean, we've got almost 4,000 people from all over the world, and it is the most loving place on Facebook. It's all support and happiness, and people are getting off their meds and losing weight and just loving each other, and it's just the greatest thing. So whether it's for weight loss or nutrition to change your health, or whether you're looking for other entrepreneurs, find your community of people that support you and are doing what you're doing, because those are going to be the people who help you get through the really tough times.
Wow, that is incredibly inspiring. It makes it feel very, very doable. Let me jump to sort of the other side of your specialties, which is trauma, depression, anxiety. I mean, as helping professionals, we all are dealing with those things in our work and often in our own lives. Is there a link between the kind of diet you're talking about and dealing with those things? Are those totally separate? How do you work with those things?
Well, you know, feeling good and not feeling anxious, not feeling depressed, there's so much that feeds into that. So part of it is definitely going to be your diet. A lot of folks who are striving to do a lot, right? They tend to eat crappy. They eat what's in their hands, or they skip meals, right? And if you want to have a brain that can fire at will and do the things you wanted to do, whether it's thinking and remembering things and preventing things like dementia, or whether it's having good moods because your neurotransmitters are working properly, you actually need to feed your body, because you have this thing called your neck that attaches your head to your body, right? So whatever you feed your body goes to your brain. So if you're skipping meals or you're eating fast food and things, you're literally starving your brain of the nutrients it needs to have regular moods. And that's why a lot of kids, you know, I don't like to give meds to kids. I just change their diet, and ADHD goes away. You know, depression goes away because they start eating the right foods instead of Cheetos and fast food, right? So you absolutely need to do that for yourself, and you need to make time for that. So for example, if you want to have amazing mental clarity and energy, have a green smoothie. I mean, our green smoothie recipe is 75% greens. You put a handful of flax seeds in there, and you fill the rest up with whatever fruit you like. And you put water in there, blend it up, and you've got instantly vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, phytoenzymes, antioxidants, omega-3s, and you will have enormous amounts of energy to go after your day. It also gives a sense of well-being as well. And the omega-3s are the building block of your neurons in your brain. So it'll help memory as well and learning. So food is definitely connected. The other part of it really, though, is, you know, kind of what I talked about before. What is your focus? Are you focusing on your wins, or are you focusing on what you're doing wrong? Are you motivating yourself by literally beating yourself up for what you're not doing right? Or are you nourishing your soul by congratulating yourself on every single step that you take, by celebrating your wins? Do you have a supportive community to cheer you on? You know, for example, my husband knows if he tells his parents he's doing something amazing, they'll kind of smile and nod, but they're not the type that really outwardly shows much emotion. So it doesn't feel like, yay, you know. if he has something exciting going on, he'll tell me or he'll tell my mom. We scream. We're just, we are. I found out I got into medical school because I got a phone call. I answered the phone and it was just screaming coming through the phone. I'm like, oh, I got into medical school. That's my mom. Right. So, so you want to surround yourself with the people who are going to cheer you on, especially if you're not good at it yourself. Post it on Facebook, get likes, whatever you need to do. And the other thing you really need to do is take time every day to find your quiet. So many busy people, they don't take any breaks at all. They get up, they take care of their kids, they go to work, they do all these other things, but they don't ever take a moment for peace. And all of us need that. All of us need to have a sacred place, a sacred space in their home where they can just not be needed for anything. And so I recommend at least 20 minutes a day of that. But for some folks, literally, it's 5 minutes. Like, can you find 5 minutes at some time? I had one woman, the only place I could get her to do mindfulness meditation was the shower, because she always took a shower alone and she did it every day. And so literally we did mindfulness meditation in the shower where she would feel the drops on her skin and breathe in the humidity and smell the smells of her soap and literally just do that mindfulness in her shower, because that was the only time she gave herself permission. Personally, for me, my sacred space is my bathtub. I have a huge soaking tub. It's got to be huge for someone who's 5'9", but we have a big tub, and my husband helped me turn it into a sanctuary where I can listen to my music, my nice meditation music, and read my iPad or just meditate. And I'm in there, honestly, an hour a day because, I treat people all day. I have a completely online medical practice. So I see people on Skype all day long. I homeschool my 2 kids. We got baseball practice. We got all these things going on. And then after the kids go to bed, I catch up on all the emails and things that people are sending me. And then at some point in the night, I call it quits and I go and I soak in my tub, literally for an hour. I just soak and I breathe and I relax. And no matter what happened that day, I can go to bed peacefully and free of anxiety. So, if you could take an hour, do it. I think I deserve the hour. I give myself that hour. If you can't, start with 5 minutes, but you need time to just clear your mind and focus on peace and find your center. And you will find if you take that time, you'll actually be more productive for the rest of your time and the rest of your day.
Boy, I really love to hear you valuing that time. I mean, so many of us are busy. We've got our work, we've got kids, there's so many demands on us. And what I hear really often is, I don't have time. But I'm hearing that you just made you followed your, 5 steps to changing your life. You made a decision to start now and you made the time happen. You make it happen.
Absolutely. You have to, and the more you do, the more you need that time. I once saw a patient, we were doing therapy and I did it at night with her because she couldn't, this is the cool thing about using Skype for my practice, so I actually made time after my kids went to bed for her because she couldn't get in during the day. And we did an hour session together. And I was trying to work with her on taking care of herself. And I said, what's going to happen right now when we get off this session? Right now in my kitchen, there's literally pasta stuck to the floor from my baby. There's dirty dishes in my sink. But you know what? I just worked late tonight and I'm happy I was here with you. But when we hang up, I'm going right to my bathtub and I'm going to bed. And she goes, you're going to leave the spaghetti on the floor? I said, I am absolutely going to leave the spaghetti on the floor. And she goes, you know what? You're my hero.
Yes.
Because it'll never end. There's always something else to do, and it was the winter, no ants, so it's fine, and some people might be getting anxiety just hearing that. But at some point, we've got to decide that's all I'm going to do today. Mm-hmm. And then you have to sleep. We need to sleep because, a lot of, especially women, we usually are taking care of everything. And if we break down, the whole ship goes down. Mm-hmm. So you have to value taking care of yourself as the way that you take care of more people. I've got the energy to take care of all my patients and nutrition clients and my kids and be an amazing wife to my husband because I take care of myself so well. And I prioritize doing that.
Something that I had heard you talk about that really impacted me was how it affects the people who love us when we don't take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I remember when I was sick, especially when I was getting the chemotherapy and my kidneys were failing, really the impact that had on my family. At 16, I really wasn't in this place to truly understand, what my own life and death and what that really meant. That was kind of deep for a 16-year-old who's kind of in shock trying to deal with all this stuff. I was more concerned with, the cute boy in math class and trying to get my AP Bio test studied for between my chemotherapy sessions. I was focused in the moment. But I remember, my mom was amazing. but I would hear her crying in her room at night. And I once saw my grandmother on her knees begging to God to take her and to spare me because she'd lived a long enough life. And so I learned very young that what we go through personally affects every person who loves us, and sometimes even more so. Now that I'm a mom, I would go through 2 years of chemo again in a heartbeat rather than see my kids suffer one day like I suffered when I was sick. And so absolutely, we need to realize that when we're not taking care of ourselves, not only are we letting ourselves down, but we're letting down all the people who need us. If we're sick and we're eating terrible foods and then we end up in the hospital, then the people who love us, they're suffering too. And not only that, the whole world suffers, because I believe with all my heart and soul that we're all born with a gift to give this world. And when you don't take care of yourself and you get sick, you are robbing the entire world of your gift that they need. And so we have to realize that our own health and how we take care of ourselves is bigger than just us.
One of the things that you do that I really admire is this incredible spirit of giving to community, to other people. And you mentioned the community that you have online. And I want to kind of bring our conversation back around to that. You have this really lovely gift for our listeners to be involved with that community. Can you please talk a little bit more about what that is and how they can get involved?
Absolutely, absolutely. So my husband and I were talking, I think this was about a year ago now, about how there's just so many people out there that are sick, that are overweight, that are suffering, and they need the information we have. And we made this decision that from now on, all of the information we have will be free. And people will only pay if they want our time. So I will give away everything I know about the science of how nutrition works to heal people. He will give away, he trains Oprah Winfrey's trainer. He's the trainer of trainers, right? He will give away everything he does to help celebrities who hire him for free. And we're going to do that because everybody in the world deserves to have the health and body they need to give their gifts to the world. And so we know the more people we help, the more we're going to receive, because they're going to be out there giving their gifts that we need as well. And so we decided that's it. The information is free. And so we created this group called the Smoothie Shredders. And if you go to smoothieshred.com, SMOOTHIESHRED, smoothieshred.com, you can join the group. You register for the group, and you'll immediately get an email that has recipes for our inflammation shredding and fat shredding green smoothies, and exercises that you can do at home that were done by my husband for you. And then you get transferred over to our Facebook group, which is a private group that you can join. And we've got almost 4,000 people from all over the world there. And what we do is we have smoothie shred challenges. We'll have another challenge coming up next month where we challenge you to add green smoothies to your diet every single day and 50% more exercise. And we do it for 4 weeks. And every week we up the ante a little bit. And we don't make people give anything up. You don't have to go vegan. You don't have to do anything else. All you're agreeing to do is add what you're missing, to add the green smoothies made in the way that we teach you, and to add the exercise, and to post every day so that you can get the support that you need and support other people. And what we found is when we do these 4-week challenges, people lose tons of weight. People have gotten off anxiety medicine. You asked about how it impacts depression, anxiety. There was a woman who got off her anxiety medicine, blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine. They're reversing autoimmune disease just by adding what they were missing, right? So, and then, there are times also where people are struggling and they'll post, hey, I'm struggling, and they'll just get hundreds of people giving them support. Or I'll see people post and say, I wasn't going to go to the gym today, but I know all of you guys are relying on me to do this. So people really feel connected to each other. And it's so cool because we'll wake up in the morning and there's all the people from Australia, New Zealand, and the other side of the world who had been posting all night. And then the Western countries start posting in the day. And it's just been a truly remarkable community. And so what we do is not only do you get that free stuff, the emails with the recipe and the exercise, there's no spam or anything like that. But we do free education in there. So we do webinars. I just did a webinar showing people case studies of people who have reversed autoimmune disease and exactly what they ate to do it. My husband does tons of education on how to lose fat rapidly, how to build muscle, while also improving your health, because a lot of programs don't do that. So we do tons and tons of free information, webinars, Facebook Live, just giving our information away to try to help people have the healthiest life possible. So I absolutely want to invite everybody to join us there.
Please do. And wherever you're listening to this interview, if you look underneath the interview, we have a link, and just click that link and you will get into this amazing community. And One of the things that helping professionals often struggle with is feeling isolated. And so this is an incredible opportunity to suddenly have a huge community around you, supporting you and cheering you on to make changes, whatever those changes are going to be, whether it's, with your food or your thinking. And I feel really inspired, Dr. Goldner, by what you shared, all of it, but particularly this piece about, when we overcome the greatest pain we're dealing with, it becomes our gift to give the world. That is a beautiful takeaway for me. I'm really going to hold on to that. And thank you so much for your time, your expertise, your generosity. I really appreciate you speaking with us today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
This is Ariana Gray, host of the Transformational Healers Summit for Helping Professionals. Be sure to join us for our next interview to break through burnout, give your gifts, and love your life. And as you're listening to this, remember, you really are making a difference.